Hey guys, I'm Bobby Childs from Adventures in Whiskey, and I am glad, so glad to have Luxco's Director of Research and Development. He's the guy coming out with new products, John Rempe. Hi, John. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. How's the weather out in St. Louis?
The weather, it's not too bad. It's been a little bit chilly today, but over the weekend we had some extraordinary weather. It was up in the 80s and sunny over the weekend, so it was quite pleasant here.
Beautiful spring weather down here in Louisiana. And when I think of spring, I think of new bourbon releases. And we have a couple we're going to taste through today. We have the new Blood Oath Pact No. 3. And then we have last year's kind of runaway hit, the Rebel Yell 10-year-old.
Right.
But before we get into those, I want to talk about you a little bit.
Sure.
So tell me how you got started in the industry.
Well, I guess it was right out of undergrad. Got started in with a company called Vest Beverages, which is actually Cott Corporation now. Just doing some little bit of R&D work on some soft drinks, and went there a couple years, and then went into fruit juices for a couple years. Actually helped build the whole production facility, and then came up with a lot of their new drinks, the new fruit, juices and juice concentrates. And then from there, just got recruited 18 years ago, almost 19 years ago now, to what was then called David Sherman Corporation, but what is now called Luxco. Same company, same ownership. They just changed the names. And I've been there for 18 years and loving developing distilled spirits drinks and whiskeys and every other type of distilled spirit that we have in our portfolio.
So the man with the trusted palate, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you come up with the new products, and I know you guys do a lot more than whiskey. But when you're coming up with a new product, and I'm just curious, do you go into it with something in mind? Do you have a flavor profile you're trying to match that's in your head, or do you just go in and play around and see what you get?
Sometimes it really depends on what area of the distilled spirits portfolio that we have. If it's whiskeys, if I'm blending up a new whiskey or a new bourbon, that's something that I will personally go after, and I know what I want out of that flavor profile. And then I will blend up, and it's a long, drawn-out process. I'm a perfectionist. I like to make sure that it's perfect, and I've actually been told by people at work, they'll say stop, it's fine, but I'll just keep tweaking. But if it's a lot of other brands in our portfolio, flavored vodkas and are ready to drink like margaritas and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is basically studying what's out there in the market, where the trends are going, and trying to anticipate new trends and new changes, and basically just going from there on those.
So new product, 2015, you guys came out with the new with the Blood Oath line. Talk a little bit about that brand.
Yeah, that was I think it was like one of the first new brands that we created as a company. That's Luxco as a company. We decided that we had a lot of great bourbon available to us, and I'm constantly blending up things, and that was just myself and the president of the company sat down one day, and we decided, we make some quality bourbon here, and we can blend up some really good stuff. So let's go ahead and create this new brand, and it's going to be like the brand name is Blood Oath, and talk about the Pact 1. So we're gonna blend these up, and we're gonna say, we can't really tell you where it's from because we have non-disclosure agreements with our suppliers. But the Pact is, I've been doing this for a while, and I think I can create some pretty good blends. And the Pact is, trust me, this is pretty good, and judge the whiskey for what's in the bottle, not from where you think it's from or what the brand is, basically.
There's nothing wrong with sourcing whiskey as long as you say you're sourcing it and it's good juice.
Right.
You guys are creating a blend, and I know I think on the literature on the label it mentions that each one's sort of a one-off. You're not going to repeat the blend again.
Right. Yeah. Each one. That's another aspect of the Pact is that we're going to do each blend one time, and that it's going to be a limited release, and we'll never do it again. So the first one, that was a blend of 3 different bourbons. Never do it again. Pact 2 was the one with the port barrel finish in it. Never going to do it again. And this one here, we'll talk about is with the Cabernet barrel finish. And like we said, we don't care how quick it sells out, how popular it is, how much demand we get from, you know, the field saying we need more of this, we need more of this. It's a set amount, it's bottled, it's sold, and look forward to next year's different blend. It'll be just as good or hopefully even better.
And you mentioned beforehand, before we went on the air, you already are working on future blends. You've got the next pact sort of wrapped up. You're working on number 5.
Four is basically done. I mean, like I said, all the planning and all the thought that went into that one, that's all done. We're just waiting for things to finish up basically on that one. And like I was saying, we try to get these started bottling and labeled and hand cork. It's all, very hands-on, so it takes a long time to do it. But we try to start in December for each one's release in April.
So let's talk about Pack 3. So I know you mentioned it's 3 different whiskey, 3 different bourbons with traditional rye mash bill bourbons.
Right, they're all yeah.
And one of them is a 7-year-old that you finished in Cabernet barrels.
Cabernet barrels, yeah. So the oldest whiskey in this one it's a 12-year-old rye-based bourbon. There's a lot of that in this one. I really wanted to pump up that deep caramel and chocolate tones out of that one into it, and then I mixed it with 2 other 7s, and one of those is finished in those Cabernet Sauvignon barrels from Swanson Vineyards out in the Napa Valley. It's a wine that I've known for quite a while now, and the reason why we partnered with it is they too are very quality focused and very limited release focused. So they'll make very small batches of their Cabernet Sauvignon, and they do a couple other varietals, but they're basically known for what's called their Alexis Cabernet Sauvignon, and those are the barrels that I had shipped from Napa to St. Louis, and I put my whiskey in there and finished it for. It was between 6 and 8 months. I actually tested each barrel week by week. Some took a little bit longer than others. Some developed. It just really depended on where I had it in my warehouse. But yeah, 6 to 8 months, and then I pulled it out and I blended it with the other 2 whiskeys, and it's just a perfectly balanced blend. And like I was talking to you before we went on, I didn't want this Cabernet to overpower the whiskey. I really wanted it to be, still a true straight bourbon whiskey, that flavor profile, but just with that Cabernet, just driving just a little bit of different character into the bourbon, and a little bit of smoothness and a little bit of what we were talking about. We kept coming up saying it's velvety. It's a velvety smooth. It just, you can taste it when it goes down. That aftertaste, that finish that goes down. It's a smoothness from that barrel that it's something special. It really is.
And you really don't see a lot of Cabernet finished bourbons in America.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
online you see some port stuff, port cast finish, a little bit of sherry cast finish, but don't really a lot of cab.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing with Blood Oath. We're trying to be innovative and try to be new with what we're doing, and I played around with different barrel finishes in the past. I've always messed around with port and sherry, and I've done Cabernet, and I've done other different varietals of wine, and American oak and French oak, and just when you find something that kind of works, that's what I went after, and that's what this was with the Cabernet.
Let's give it a taste and walk some folks through the flavor notes here.
Yep. Yeah, and then actually really quick, I could talk about just the labeling here.
Yeah, bring that a little closer to the camera while you're talking.
I don't know if you can see it there, but we've got the labeling there. That's the design here. It's by a guy named David Cole, who's done all of the Blood Oaths for us, and he's just does outstanding work. You can see the craftsmanship and the quality with these labels. And right now we've got the actual. This one's got a 4th panel on it. The first 2 only had the 3, but this one has the 4th that just describes the whole Swanson wine or the Swanson Vineyards that we got the barrels from, and it just gives you a little bit of story about them too. But then like with the other ones, we got the eco-friendly, like we like to say, the cork with no plastic or anything on it, and just held on by just a little strip stamp basically, and It's just an outstanding design. That's just David Cole. That's just what he does.
David's doing some wonderful work. I know he did the work on the new minor case rye for Limestone Distillery, and that is one beautiful looking bottle.
It is a great bottle.
The whiskey's not bad either.
No, it's not bad either. Yeah, exactly. The whiskey matches how the bottle looks. It definitely does. Yep.
So let's give it a taste here.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this one right out of the bottle, you just notice those deep caramel and chocolate tones and just that toasted oak taste that comes from those wine barrels. But like I said, that Cabernet is not overpowering anything. It's, really, if I didn't tell you it was there, you might not even really notice it. But once I say that you're there, then you'll think, oh yeah, I do taste it a little bit right there.
Yeah, on the nose, it adds just a touch of like I got some like caramelized berries.
Right. Yeah. Just like that's what I put like in our taste notes. Just a little bit of dark fruit. That's what I put. That I think that those barrels just are adding just a little bit to it.
Really nice. And this is bottled at 98.6 proof.
98.6 proof. Yeah. And again, I mean I
love when you start to get that rye spice right off the bat.
Absolutely. Yep. And then this one differs from the other packs where the other ones had a wheated bourbon blended in.
Sure.
But I knew that I wasn't going to need that with this one because of that Cabernet finish in that barrel. It's just going to bring that little bit of smoothness in it that the wheater usually brings in, and I didn't need it. And I tried it. I blended it up, in the beginning, but then I didn't need it. The ryes are perfectly fine with this Cabernet finish.
Yeah, the spiciness of the rye works really nicely with the
it balances perfectly.
The fruit notes of the wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
fantastic stuff.
But I mean, it's just you taste the caramel, you taste the vanilla, you taste the spice, and I get
just just right underneath is a little bit of those dark fruits.
Right.
The berries is what I pick up on it. On top of or underneath all the traditional, heavy caramels, and a little touch of vanilla and the spice. Then a little bit of the oak on the back end.
A little bit of oak, but not too much. But it's definitely balanced out by that Cabernet finish.
And a really nice warming finish. It's not rough. It's not too
it's smooth. It's just a little bit of bite, but it's not too much. It's very, very smooth, and it lingers. That taste. What I'm getting is like a lot of that, almost that cherry and that maybe even a little bit of like apricot, just lingers it for a long time. Actually, I'm pretty proud of this one actually.
I'd have to go back and taste this side by side with pack number 2 at some point, but just from memory, I think this is my favorite of the 3.
Just see the difference between that port finish and this Cabernet.
Oh, that's good.
And and like I say, for 98.6 proof, it doesn't taste like it's almost 100 proof bourbon. It tastes.
No.
It doesn't have that hotness, that heat that usually a bourbon that high does.
Yeah, it's spicy, but it's not hot.
Right.
It's not rough around the edges.
Right.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm curious to see what you guys are going to put out next year for this.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Luxco.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about just a brief history about the brand.
Luxco, actually started out in 1958 as David Sherman Corporation. Just started as a private label bottler. The one side of the family, the Shermans, they owned a company called Paramount Distributing. It was I think it was at the time the largest liquor distributorship in the St. Louis area, and then after that Paul Lux, who married one of the Shermans, he decided that he wanted to start a bottling line and bottle all that private label stuff for Paramount Distributing. So they opened up in 1958, David Sherman Corporation, which has been in business ever since. Changed its name to Luxco maybe 8-9 years ago, and just been a bottler and marketer of what we say is quality spirits ever since, and we're actually every year up in the ante and becoming more and more involved in that more higher level quality spirit marketer, basically.
I see that. Adding a little bit of water really sort of like rounds out the spice.
Open it up a little bit. Yeah.
Rounds out the spice and sort of brings up the rich caramel and fruit notes.
Yeah.
So you guys have been sourcing sort of from the beginning, but you just started working or start building a distillery.
Yes.
In and around Bardstown, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's in Bardstown. It's will be. We're looking for it to be online in distillate coming off the still by hopefully December January 1 of 2018. But yeah, so it's actually the first venture that we had into like a distillery other than Limestone Branch that we own 50% share in. But this will be the first one that we built, and that's going to basically be distilling and we'll be distilling and aging all of our bourbon there from January 1 of 2018 going forward.
Fantastic. And you guys have a nice variety of brands, or whiskey brands, under your Luxco label. So you guys have Blood Oath, you have Rebel Yell, got David Nicholson.
Yeah.
Ezra Brooks.
Yeah, Ezra Brooks. That's a good, just a good solid rye-based bourbon, 90 proof. And then and then the David Nicholson, that's the 100 proof weeder. Also, it's also another solid bourbon. But those will all be distilled and aged there, coming the end of the year. And we've got a 36-inch column still going in there with a doubler. We'll have 6 20,000 barrel rick houses going up on the property also, and the name of it will be Lux Row Distillers, right in Bardstown, and very, very picturesque property that we bought on it. It's actually, the entrance is lined with these trees and a black fence coming in, and that's actually where we got the name for Lux Row going into the property. And it's just it'll be on the Bourbon Trail. It'll be a destination. It's actually very exciting for us as a company.
What are you guys looking for in terms of capacity?
Right now, capacity will be doing starting the first year, we'll be doing a little over 15,000 barrels a year, but then we'll be pumping out 20,000 barrels a year going forward, and then with room to expand after that as needed.
Sure. And the way things are going now, I'm pretty sure you guys will be talking
anytime soon.
Yeah. So I know Rebel Yell, let's get into that a little bit, has a long history. It started over at the Stutzer-Weller distillery. Can you tell us a little bit about the background on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weed bourbon started back in the Stutzer-Weller days, and really we haven't changed anything going forward. It's still been a weed bourbon this whole time. The brand actually, Rebel Yell, started after Prohibition, and we acquired this brand as a company. I think it was in 1998 or 1999, and we haven't changed anything about it. Anything about the mash bill? It's still that wheated mash bill, giving it that little bit extra smoothness, letting that corn come out as opposed to a rye-based bourbon. And I mean, this one right here that we have, this one has been incredible since we bought all that. Just the reception that we've gotten from this 10-year-old single barrel wheated bourbon. You don't see many wheated bourbons on the market, let alone a single barrel on the market these days. And like we were saying before, at the price point that we're selling it at too. So
right,
it's an exceptional bourbon.
Yeah, I remember tasting it. I along with a few other whiskey folks were invited to a Luxco tasting last year.
Yeah.
And after we finished the tasting and dinner, someone walked around and said, "Do you want some Rebel Yell single barrel?" So, Rebel Yell's okay. It's not meant to be a super premium bourbon. It's a kind of a workhorse bourbon. I said, all right, sure, let me try it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I tried it, oh man, that was my favorite one of the night.
It blows you away. It'll blow you away. That wheat and mash bill really allows for that extra age, and that 10-year. It really allows for that caramel, that chocolate, and you get that a lot of that oak coming through. But it's not that oak doesn't come through in an overpowering way, in a bad way. It's just very pleasant, and it's just an incredible bourbon.
So how'd you guys come up with the idea? Because the standard Rebel Yell is
standard is 4-year wheater. But we had a basically. I mean, I was looking at our inventories with one of our brand managers, Fletcher Bookman, and we had some barrels that were a little bit overaged. You know, because we'll take some older barrels every now and then, and we'll blend it into the younger stuff. We have our Rebel Reserve, which is a 6-year, but that's always a 6-year blended with a little bit older stuff. And our 4-year is always blended with a little bit older stuff, just to keep that consistency from bottle to bottle. But when we tasted just straight some of these 10-year barrels that we had, and we were blown away at just how, just how incredible the taste profile is. Just the smoothness and really it's just that caramel that just jumps out of the barrel at you. And you pour this into a glass, it just jumps out, and it almost fills the room. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's got a great initial sweetness that you only get with wheated bourbons.
Right.
So let's go ahead and taste it. And then not only a 10-year-old version of it, but single barrel on top of that.
Right. And that's the one thing that we're doing with the single barrel that a lot of other bottlers of single barrel. This is I always look for a kind of a point of differentiation with our products, but a lot of other bottlers of single barrel, they'll try to pick barrels that are all pretty much consistent, pretty much in line for what they want. We went and we didn't care if they were different. We pull from the top, we pull from the bottom, we pull from the middle of the rick house, outside, inside, and it's just amazing how drastic some of these barrels are in terms of the color and the flavor profile. And I personally taste every one of the barrels, and there have been several that I have rejected that and that just happens. There are some barrels that just don't work. But for the most part, these barrels, some of them have just real strong caramel, real strong charcoal. Some of them a little bit less. Some of them a little bit more fruity. But all of them are outstanding. And that's kind of one of the fun things we wanted to do with this is, we have written, on here the barrel number, and then the month and the date that it was or the year that it was distilled. And so if you buy one bottle, and right now the price range is $59.99, so it's not overly exorbitant on the price. So you can buy a bottle and then buy another bottle, and it could be a different barrel number, and you can just see the difference, see the change.
Right. If I had to get, I really liked this batch. Like I said, for me, it was sort of a sleeper hit of last year. No one expected it.
It took everyone by surprise.
A lot of good praise.
Yep.
Yeah, very sweet on the nose.
Yeah, it's
toffee and brown sugar and a little bit of vanilla.
Yep.
And it doesn't come across as 100 proof.
No. That's another thing. It's kind of just like the Blood Oath at 98.6. Drink this at 100 proof, and I've been to different places and tasting this with people, and that's the one thing that they're all shocked at is when I say that's 100 proof, and they're like, no way, that's not 100 proof, because it's just so smooth. Mostly, there's no heat, there's no hotness to it.
There's no heat or anything or roughness, but you do get the intensity that you get with intensity of flavor that you get with a higher proof.
Right.
If I had to suggest, I guess the next logical extension to this brand would be barrel proof, single barrel.
We're looking at stuff right now.
I'm sure glad I have an extra bottle of this lying around.
Yeah. It is like I said, it's surprised a lot of people.
So what do you guys have? I know you can't talk about new products until they're coming out, but can you give us any sort of hint or any tease as to what you guys have coming out soon?
Well,
Or some of the things you're working on that may or may not be released?
uh, I'm always working on things that are probably not going to be released. I mean, that's the majority of my job is I have a whole counter full of things in my lab right now that I'm working on that will probably never ever make it off that bench. But it just goes through tastings, and it just goes to furthering the research and on other products that actually do make it. But in terms of whiskeys, I mean, like Blood Oath, we got pack 4. Like I said, I already got it going. It's already done in terms of the thought and the planning for it. Pack 5 and pack 6, I'm already thinking about those. I pretty much got those nailed down and gonna start working on those. And it really, I mean, Rebel Yell, the 10-year. I mean, we're just as long as we have the whiskey to put it in the bottle, we're gonna keep pumping this out too.
And you mentioned Rebel Yell is coming out. The 2017 batch is coming out probably in a couple of months, right?
I think in a couple of months it'll be out. It'll be hitting the distributors and hitting the shelves. Yep.
And you guys are doubling the amount of cases or that you guys are releasing compared to last year.
I think we maybe. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure on that. I'll check and get back with you on that. I'm not sure exactly how many cases of this we're going to be putting out. I know that
it is a larger release than last year.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay. I really can't say anything bad about this one. This is good.
Yep. It's delicious. I mean, it's like I said, it's for the brand Rebel Yell, it has surprised everyone that's tasted it. Really.
You know, like I said, we at that tasting in St. Louis last year, I think we tasted through 4 different sort of things you guys were working on or playing around with.
Yeah. I was doing some different blends, different finishes on some stuff. Yeah.
And those were memorable, but like I said, this one just
this is the one we brought it out at the end. Yeah, as kind of dessert for everybody.
Right. Well, John, I really appreciate you taking the time to come hang out with me and taste some whiskey.
Absolutely, it's a blast.
Hope to talk to you soon. Let's get together next time you guys put something out.
All right, sounds great, Bobby. Anytime.
You have a great night, and thanks for watching.
All right, absolutely.
All right, stay right there on the line. I'll talk to you as soon as we end this broadcast.